Hello and welcome to Next Week Now, next week's new way of knowing the new news before even the new news knows what's the news. Now, I'm Ethan Yoon, the world's most trusted new news newsman, and without further ado, let's dive into next week's news now. By now, every American is aware that socialist liberals are doing everything in their power to rip apart our history, and thus the very fabric of society itself, by attempting to take down Confederate statues and convert those statues into communists. Unfortunately, left-wing radicals have already gained significant ground on the issue, with many Confederate statues being torn down in the dead of the night, away from the watchful eye of the patriotic Americans, and silently tossed into the communism machine. Many America-loving Americans, like myself, have already noticed a severe loss and sudden loss of knowledge in American history. For instance, while I could once recite the entire preamble to the Declaration of Independence with a 65% accuracy, I can now only recall the following. All men are... And while I could at one point definitely list at least 7 American presidents, I can now only remember Richard Nixon. I don't even remember who our president is right now, even though he keeps visiting my house at night to steal my tortellini. That's my tortellini, hashtag please stop stealing it. The loss of these Confederate statues, our one and only way of recording the story of our past, may be a sad enough story for the most American of Americans, but sadly, there's more. For what will be left in the spot of these once great recordings of our history? An empty area of land, perfect sized for the street performers pretending to be statues themselves, just to scare our American youth. That's right, next week, these so-called living statues will begin infesting our streets, begging for our precious capitalism points with open cups, cans, and bowls. Americans all over America should be disgusted by the audacity of these unpatriotic street performers for claiming our land where our statues used to stand and asking us, the American taxpayer, to pay them to do so. Although tipping is in fact a voluntary act, the government, run by America-hating leftists, will be lowering the minimum wage of statue street performers due to their ability to receive tips, putting the burden of fulfilling their paycheck on all of the American taxpayers who are American and already pay taxes. How does this make sense? Now, true Americans who hate street performers and want nothing to do with them will be forced to tip all of their money to every street performer that they see. This is why we at Next Week Now are calling for every American citizen to stand up to our globalist government and refuse to tip the living statue street performers that will be filling in for Confederate statues. If you see any of these America-hating street performers, be sure to tweet a complaint to the official Twitter account that manages all formal complaints about street performers, @RealDonaldTrump. Moving on to weather, as we're all aware, fate, not climate change, created a slew of natural disasters all over the world in the past couple of weeks. Horrible, awful things: water, earth, fire, and air. Now recently, on top of all of these seemingly endless hurricanes, next week, I, Ethan Yoon, will find myself in the relationship of a lifetime with the girl Denise? Oh, sorry. Back to business. Now, the way these fires start really depends on the season that comes before it. If there's a lot of rain, that means a lot of grass will grow, and that, combined with the dry weather, causes said grass to act as a tinder of sorts. Tinder. Will Denise and I meet through Tinder? Oh, sorry. Is it hot in here, or is that just the residual heat of the destruction of homes and hundreds of acres of property? Maybe it's just my passion for Denise. Oh, sorry, that's not important. At least half a dozen wildfires were ablaze during this fire season. California is especially susceptible to these fires because of the area's arid weather. These fires are enormously dangerous, capable of jumping quickly, extremely quickly with the wind from place to place, spreading the burning from bush to bush. No burning in any bush will stop me from seeing Denise, however. Oh, sorry. Was that unprofessional? Man, I'm just so flustered about this whole Denise thing. Oh, what? What's that? Denise will tragically burn to death in another series of California fires while lighting up a blunt in the middle of some dry brush, giving a whole new meaning to getting lit? I see. Okay, moving on.